Is it going?
It's going. That's going. 4 seconds. 5 seconds.
Hello. This is Mike and Steve.
Hello there.
Fixing it with the Long Bros.
I'm Mike Long.
Here's what we got. If you see up there, what that is our 1952 Greyhound bus. It's in a paint booth for buses at ABC Bus in Grand Prairie, Texas. Now we hired them to blast all the paint off of our bus, put bay windows in it, front windows or side windows. You'll see. We'll show you all that. And put a power plant in it, and we'll show you that. And they put air cans on the bus, and checked out they needed to put some air hoses on it. They did that, and they lowered the floor, and we'll talk about all that.
I remember when I came up and saw you there, you were pissed off.
Yeah, we pulled up in the bus, or in Mike's car, and I jumped out because I've done that work before. Did a lot of that work before. I had my own shop, and I opened the door, and they were supposed to use peanut shells, and they used, unbeknownst to me, they used baking soda. So I, not knowing what that was, and there was inside of the bus and on the wiring and on the steering wheel, and I don't know if you can see that, but it was just a foot deep inside.
I would highly suggest if somebody was going to soda blast your vehicle that you make sure that they cover all the vent holes.
Well, I ran inside and I was pissed. Didn't know what that was. I didn't look good to me. They didn't mask anything off. So I ran inside and I talked to the guy, the manager out there, and said, "What the hell is that?" And he said, "Well, we use soda." Or not soda, but we use soda. I said, "Well, you're supposed to use walnut shells. Crushed walnut shells." He said, "Well, we couldn't get any, so we did that." I said, "Well, that's going to ruin my wiring," which it ended up doing, by the way, and we'll talk to you about that. So anyway, he said, "Well, the bill is close to $50,000." I said, "There is no way I'm paying you for that. For one thing, we hired you to shine up the side of the aluminum on the siding, and your guy, all he did was grind on it and put big old divots and scratches and stuff in it." And I said, "I'm going to have to fix that. I should sue you." So anyway, he knocked
there
$10,000.
was pits in that.
We spent
siding.
years and years.
If you ever know, if somebody don't know how to grind something, they turn the grinder on its side and dig deep crevices and gouges in
I had
the
to hire
aluminum.
people.
That's what it looked like.
I hired Carlos and myself and my dad and Mike. We all had to sand that whole thing out. Anyway,
this is our story, and we're going to be telling
they did good on
a lot
some things.
about our stories, and this is a part of the beginning in Texas.
There you see that they cut the bay windows out, and they did some body work on it, and that metal down on in front of Mike's car there. That was for the floor. They took that stuff out of so they could lower the floor, and we'll show you all that too. So anyway, you see at that point it looked pretty good. I didn't know that the real problems that were coming. I had my assumptions.
That's a PD
4301.
4103 has a 671 Detroit engine in it, and it was in good shape, and it ran really well. It had a lot of oil on it, but it ran good.
Yeah, they all leak.
It was just been overhauled at a couple 100,000 miles.
This was in 2003, and there's the power plant they put in it. It's a 12K,
50 amp.
50 amp, and there's a number on the block. I don't know why.
Yeah, we paid pretty close to 10 grand for it, if not more.
Yeah, and it's a Kubota. And so anyway, it works real well, and they put that in at ABC Bus, and it was just full of soda. There's the engine at the time, what it looked like. And if you know anything about that, you can see that there's a lot of smoke.
There's our dad. He bought that bus in 1971 or 2.
Yeah.
I had a 1937 Ford pickup, and of course, I don't know how I got that bus. I'm pretty sure Dad helped me get it. Anyway, he found it probably, and I bought it. And I was like a teenager. And the guy would not do the deal. if I wouldn't give my 37 Ford pickup up. So I gave that 37 Ford
and I did
up.
a lot of work on that body work, and it was looking good.
Oh, I love that little
and you
truck.
did the
I could peel out and that thing.
you did the you had the front grill all welded up and everything, and you did if you remember right, you did tuck and roll on the interior.
That took forever. That guy, I had to go back and almost tear his arms off to get that
anyway, our dad would do anything for us, so we would do anything for our dad, and that's why we did this work on the bus.
He's sitting there looking at his engine.
Yeah, there he is.
He knew a lot about that engine, and at that time I wasn't interested too much in it because it was so greasy.
We'd go hunting and fishing and camping and traveling.
We'd go in the woods in between trees, and Dad would be driving it in there, and he'd back out of these places. It was unbelievable.
We went down one. You weren't with us, but we went hunting. And we went down this slope, and then there was a creek down there, and I was like, you ain't gonna make it. Well, we couldn't go back because of the way the hill was, and there's no way we could go back.
Well,
and so he went down there and up, and then we parked.
Probably had to buy the property and live there.
Yeah. So he drove truck his whole life, and he would go anywhere. He was quite the skill. He could drive. That guy could drive.
He parallel parked.
There's
that bus.
There's
in
the radiator
at
there.
a baseball field.
The radiator there was green. I don't know if you can see that, but it was green. That was from the soda. We didn't know it at the time. And there's what it looked like after they primered it. So they shot they got all the paint off of it. They did some body work that I did. I ran over. That's a story. Anyway, they did the primer work. They painted it yellow, or it's not paint. It's just primer. And it don't look too bad. I mean, it looked good, and we thought we had something. All the lights were working, all the blinkers, all the everything, the running lights, everything was working. And this is a 10,000 square foot warehouse right here, and we parked it in there.
That was in Kennedale, Texas.
Kennedale, Texas.
That's where we had our game room,
we
slot machines and whatnot.
We parked it in there for pretty close to 10 years, and started working on it and stuff. And our dad, he started messing around with everything, and he couldn't get. I remember, we were busy with our businesses, and he was out there running extension cords to get the brake lights working, because everything was just.
The thing was.
He cut a hole right in the.
The thing was going crazy.
Yeah, he cut a hole right in that running light on above the driver's door.
Yeah.
He cut a hole from the outside in, because the wire, he just couldn't figure it out. Well, it was that baking soda. It was shorting out all the wires.
There's cloth wires in those old. 52s definitely had cloth around the.
There he is. That's when we moved to Dallas, away from Kennedale.
That was on Jubilee Trail in Dallas, Texas.
This is when we started the work on the.
Off of 635.
Yeah. This is when we started the work on the inside of the bus. Thinking everything was fine on the.
Well, we found out a lot about that up here in a couple of seconds. You're going to see that I'm going to explain some things.
We had to start over.
No, we'll just cut it out. We'll just cut it out.
Restored 1952 Greyhound.
Mike working on the.
Stephen, would you take this?
There's our dad.
Oh.
He's, bringing us some.
What is it?
Bread. Garlic cheese bread.
Cheese.
You don't know,
garlic
but
bread.
he's got crutches
Cool.
on crutches. He had
We're filming,
pancreas
Dad.
cancer. It wasn't long
We're
after
filming
this.
us tearing up your bus.
He came up
was
to us.
gone.
He came up to us and said, "Look how skinny I am." And
I can't gain any weight.
So what the heck? And it was a shock. He weighed like 125 pounds.
2000.
He looked
This
like
is
one of those.
And
April
oh my God! Then we took him to the
22nd,
Veterans Hospital.
2012.
And they came back
This
and said
bus
he had
is
cancer.
60 years old.
Pancreas cancer.
60 years old, I tell
He
you.
wanted to do an operation. He said, I might as well because they told him it was a painful death.
There was nothing they could do.
I think we take down.
He
These are
wanted
gonna
to do
be
the operation. The guy said he
and,
would not do it because he would die on the
figure it
table.
out as we go.
And Dad said, "Well, that's, you know, it's better than suffering." And,
Well, I would imagine
you know,
60 years old.
I wasn't there, but you were there when they told him that.
Yeah, I
But
don't think
that
you want to
was-
be eating it.
Our dad was tough. That's why we did all this on the bus. He loved that bus, but he was ashamed of it.
All right, probably good for tonight, huh?
So if you can hear me back there, I'm trying to explain.
Well, I've been wanting to do that a long time. I think we'll cut this one off here.
Let's listen to me for a second.
Get rid of them big squirrel
That's what I've
things.
been trying to tell you for your whole life. Listen to me for a second.
Unless you want to use it as an anchor or something else. Should we lower the floor? I think
A lot of people say you can't lower the floor, but you
shelves up
can.
here,
Structurally, underneath it,
they
it
come
goes,
around.
they raise the floor
Yeah, you can. Instead of this, we need to get this out of here.
and they put those buses together to
no
put
purpose.
those chairs in there.
Can't do it where you're walking in where you hit your head. That's the only thing. Yeah, you're right.
Cost money and everything.
Did a lot of work.
Get over here and
That was a
explain
lot.
to the folks. Ooh, bright light.
These
Get over here.
pictures are the front of the bus.
Explaining the wiring.
There's a control panel by the driver's seat up there, and there's a ton of wires in there, and a lot of them are for, you know, they go back to the box in the back, and the heater system there is a grill that goes back, and
Links
these
in the bus.
plug-ins for electrical plugs are run through the 2x2s, and I drilled holes in those and reset those wires.
We insulated the whole thing, top and bottom and all around it.
The wire, the little thing you see hanging down in the window there, were the window or the lights for the bus. So when they turn those on, you can see where you're going and whatnot. And then there was some reading lights there.
We did all.
There's
we did
the
all those. You'll
control
see that.
box, the breaker box, and all those plugs, the 4 per panel plugs. I have, I don't know, probably 30 something in there. So there's probably 120, probably 120 plugs around in there. So wherever you're sitting, you can plug something in.
Turn that light the other way, if you would, please. Sure.
So they need like $30,000 for the work again. Trust me, if you
Explain,
want to
what we did, how we lowered the floor and everything. Huh?
get yourself a bus.
Lowered the floor, how the
But they're
seats used to
great.
be.
They are.
Although we haven't even, we drove from Texas to
Well, we lowered the
here,
floor.
and that's it. And it's been sitting.
These used to be like an aisle right in the middle here.
That's another story. We'll see that.
This walkway.
Tell that.
When I
Well,
parked
listen,
inside,
if
was
you
this
find
high.
this interesting,
Here.
we've got a
Slope
long way
down
to go
here.
in our story.
Lower
And
up, we put it all
if
down
you
there, but it
would
all
like
used
to
to be the
subscribe,
same height as this for, except for the
be
center
very
on.
happy to do
And there was
so.
chairs on that
See the
side.
subscribe button there, push it, and become one
We
of our
take it out.
subscribers. And we're just getting started with our stories because we have a lot of them, and we need that to. There's the bus again.
That's enough.
It's a beautiful bus. It runs really well, and we'll tell the story about how we got from Texas. We left in July of 2013, and
We left Texas because our dad, we're from Oregon originally. Our dad wanted to come back to Oregon and die holding his brother's hands.
Yeah,
So he took care of them when he was growing up. He worked in the fields because his dad couldn't. His dad got hit in the head with a branch.
that's another
And-
story.
And Dad took care of the family. It's like patches. I'm dependent on you, son. Like that song. If you haven't, you gotta listen to it. That's our dad.
All right, we'll see you guys later.